Yo everybody, welcome to my channel. This story about what if Naruto was the Ice King of Darkness. Let's start.
Fire Country, Kanahagakure at October 9th. It has been almost 6 years now, since the nine-tailed demon fox attacked the village. Tomorrow would be the anniversary of its defeat by the hands of the fourth leader O. Village, the Yondaime Hokage. The villagers were already preparing for the festival to be held on that day as it came to be tradition over the last 5, now almost 6 years. The day of the massive Kyuubi's attack and later defeat was also the day that Uzumaki Naruto was born, the day he celebrated his birthday. Unlike most people, Naruto celebrated alone. Well, he tried to be alone. He hid himself and hoped that no one would find him, but Naruto was famous in Konoha, even so famous that many wanted to. Of his birthday, they literally searched for him, even if it meant to break into his home to search for him, even in his old favorite hideout, under his bed. Why could a 6-year-old be famous, you ask? Well, it is a super ultra S ranked secret that only every single adult in Konoha knows, so I can't tell you seeing as it would. The law of the third leader, punished by dead, so please pardon me and let's move on. Uzumaki Naruto was a 6-year-old boy with blue eyes, blonde hair and whisker-like marks on his cheeks. He lived alone in his own apartment. He was skinny, had only poor, dirty clothes, he had almost no belongings and he hated many things. He hated the life he lived. He hated the village he lived in. He hated the people that lived in said villa. And he hated his most loved person in the whole world, Kushina-san as he called her now. He was smart enough to not show this hate, seeing as how weak he was, being child. He hides it very well under his cold and emotionless self. Kushina was his most loved one, because his happiest moments were with her. The first 3 years of his life that he had spent with her, oh how he wished it could just be. Back then, no worries, no fear, and no pain. He had felt safe, as he still felt safe in the memories of these days in her soft and warm embrace. But now she was hated by him, because she didn't come back. She didn't come back after 3 years. It was one of the very few memories he had of her that he wished H. would forget. She told him that she was just taking a trip away to have some time for herself, away from the village and would come back very soon. Of course he begged, let him come along, but she said that he had to be a good boy and stay at home. She promised him that she would come back with a present for him, but only if he was go. And did what he was told. As most kids do, he believed his parent, but he had an awful feeling that something bad was about to happen, and that he wanted to be with his mother if it did occur. But, he stayed silent and smiled at her. She was his mother, she wouldn't do anything that would hurt him, right? No, she would. He knew better now. All the times when he woke up with mysterious cuts on his chest or arms he would receive guilty glances from her at the breakfast tab. Course back then he just thought he had hit some sharp edges of his bed and desk while sleeping. And he now knew that his nightmare he had of his mother standing over at night in front of his bed with her eyes closed, sweating and holding a kunai over him clenched in her hand, when she would open her eyes and the realization would dawn. Her face and she would run out of his room, was in fact no dream. He was only 3 when she had left him, and no one was there to look after him, no one to cook for him, or to do shopping, to help at all. It was when his house was sold by the bank when no one made the payments for the montage that he realized that she would not come back again. His mother's bank accounts were also mysterious. Empty, leaving him with nothing but a little allowance given by the third village leader, the Sandaime Hokage, to live off. At first he was counting the hours for his mother's return, then just the days, then just the weeks before he finally stopped knowing it was futile. It was to that time when H. found out about the feelings that the people of Konoha held for him, without his mother shielding him it became worse as the days went. Whenever he asked the old Hokage everyone felt hatred and disgust towards him, he would never get a proper explanation. It would always be something like, it's something that you will understand when you're older Naruto. It's not you Naruto, it's just that they can't seem to see what a great child you actually are. They are just hurt Naruto, they lost important people and loved ones. They don't know how to live with this pain. It is nothing that you have done. Don't worry, it will get better in the future. So after a series of paradoxical and worthless explanations, he gave up on asking the old Hokage for reasons, all of this had an effect on him. Beforehand he was a happy enough child, oblivious to the things around him and had the attention, if lukewarm love, of his mother. After had left, he was exposed to the world around him, and he finally saw and experienced something no child ever should: loneliness, neglect, indifference, fear, hate, despair, hopelessness. He got a small apartment from the old Sandaime Hokage, after he was told to leave by the orphanage when he was 4. He had been living there ever since, and he gained small measure of independence. But a 4-year-old could hardly be expected to cook for and look after himself, something which even adults have trouble with. Every day would follow the same meaningless routine, and every day he would lose a bit more strength, a bit more of his will to go on, hiding all his emotions away beneath cold emotionless shell, to hide his emotional weakness and to save him from further pain. Of course all of this went unnoticed among those living in the village hidden in the leaves. Well, now that we know enough of Uzumaki Naruto for the moment, let's check up on him and his faithful knight that destiny gave him. He was currently in his small apartment and lay on his bed with his eyes closed, but he was not asleep. He just lay and dwell in his memories. From the dark corners of the black shadows made out of darkness made their way towards his bed. When it reached him he opened his eyes wide, struggling against the cold darkness that was him, but all just in vain. The boy now fully engulfed, the darkness vanished back into the shadows. Ooh oh 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 ooh. Outside the elemental countries and the world of the humans, but still not so far away from it, were 2 old and mystical kingdoms. In the south was the kingdom of fire, a light, called Faya, ruled by King Kojin. In the north were their arch enemies, the kingdom of ice and darkness, named Genya, ruled by King Kokuden. The North Kingdom was a colorless place. Everything looked gray or black. It never stopped snowing and the sky was constantly clouded with dark clouds, shadowing and darkening the whole lands. It was inhabited by many strange and different creatures: humans, elves, giants, dwarfs, orcs, trolls, goblins and many more. All possessing magical powers of ice or darkness in them, with the strongest powers in the king. These powers were what corrupted the lands and made them look like they did, cold and. The South Kingdom was the completely opposite, bright, shiny and colorful, with his inhabitants possessing the powers over fire or light. They also claimed to be the Gu, and the Ice and Darkness Kingdom to be evil forces, which Kokuden never denied or admitted, not caring much in anything but to war his arch-enemies in hopes of weaken them and becoming the supreme rulers one day. Kojin and his peoples always claimed to be peaceful and helpful beings, even though fire was a destructive force. They said their powers of light made up for it with the heal greatly, while Kokuden and his people had nothing but destructive powers with their darkness and ice and were destroying everything around them. But in fact with ice came the powers over water as well. It was not only destructive but could heal greatly too. Both sides knew that they were a balance, the yin to the oath yang. They knew they needed each other to exist, but neither side would admit it. They constantly tried to weakening their counterpart in fear of getting overpowered one day. Both sides good, but both sides evil as well, not just black or just white. In the middle of Kokuden's kingdom stood his massive castle where he lived in. Kokuden was very old and needed a successor, unlike Kojin who was still young and just his throne from his father some 100 years ago. But to Kokuden's misfortune, he had no heir. He and his wife tried to make children for many years, but they had no su. And then his beloved wife died because of a powerful illness. He decided to name a successor outside his family, seeing that the only family he had still left were all weak retards. But he could not find anyone worth enough to be his was extremely picky. The few he did found were too weak to survive his tests or the assassins that Kojin would send. Kokuden refused to give them protection. He needed someone who was strong and independent. He didn't need him to be all-powerful. No, power could always be obtained or given later on. He wanted someone smart enough survive, a good leader that could make sure his country would survive. He thought that he would never find someone and would have to give the throne to the first stupid retard in the few minutes before his death, or that one of his relatives claim the throne after his death, not that he had any close ones left anymore. He now sat in his throne, once more in thoughts about his problem of finding an heir, and hours passed away. He was fully oblivious to the time going on and didn't know how long he was sitting there thinking, when his mirrors suddenly begun to show him what looked like a little nine-tailed fox attacking a village full of humans. Probably one of Kojin's pets that he sends to burn a village because of lack of worship. He thought grimly, but none then less watched it. His ice mirror were special, he could watch to everywhere with them, the only limit was if the area was protected with spells and charms against his powers like most of Ko Kingdom was. But moments like this when the mirrors would act on their own were rare once, so he paid special attention to what he saw. He didn't know how long he sat there and watched, the only times he interrupted were when he gave orders to his generals or to his advisors, he even ate in front of it with great interest. He saw Kojin's pet being sealed away by a human into his own son. He saw the son growing up with his mother, unaware to most things around him like hate of half the village or the assassinate attempts upon his life. He watched the mother suffering from mental stress of her husband's dead and her kid's tenant. He watched when she woke up night after night in her kid's room with a weapon in her hand. He watched as she fled the villages out of fear that she would kill her own kid one day, Lisade kid alone with the hatred of a whole village. He watched as the small kid was insulted, spit on, and beat on, as they took everything he had away from him and gave nothing but abuse, as he was refused everything and as everything was even worse on his birthdays. He watched as he grew cold and emotionless but never cried. He watched as the kid lay on his bed a day before his 6th birthday, planning for said day which he knew his next beating was coming on. In short, he watched 6 years of the kids live and how he survived everything, despite his young age and lack of power. "Bring me this child," he said with a booming voice as he pointed one of his giant fingers to the blond boy on his ice mirrors. His subordinates in the room bowed and immediately rushed out to complete their task. The old king grinned darkly when he watched as the black darkness engulfed the small boy and disappeared into the shadows. With the boy gone, the magic ice mirrors stopped working and only reflected the image of the grinning king. "Bring me this child," said the king with a booming voice as he pointed one of his giant fingers to the blond boy on his ice mirrors. His subordinates in the room bowed immediately rushed out to complete their task. The old king grinned darkly when he watched as the black darkness engulfed the small boy and disappeared into the shadows. With the boy gone, the magic ice mirrors stopped working and only reflected the image of the grinning king. Naruto woke up in a very dark forest. He was cold and it was snowing. He never before saw it snowing, so he was not used to cold weather, and the worst of all, he had no on. The last thing he could remember was that he lay on his bed in his apartment, been grabbed by something cold and then struggling against its hold till he blacked out. He looked around and shuddered. This couldn't be a normal forest, could it? The giant trees in the forest looked pretty old and were leafless and half-death, surprisingly completely black and didn't look like wood at all. His view was still limited because even though leafless, there were so many of them and all of them were so damn big, and the darkness didn't make it any easier to see a lot too. The only reason that he could see a bit was because of a blue moon giving a little bit of light. He could hear rave, cawing and wolves howling all around him, much to his displeasure. He could swear that he saw some moving shadows and could not help but feel watched. Where the hell am I, and how did I come here? Were his thoughts as he was shaking because of the coldness and hugged himself to stay warm. This can't be a dream. I think much too clearly for this to be a dream, and everything feels too real as well. Every other child would be freaked out of their mind right now and cry like there was no tomorrow, but not Naruto. After all, he was used to dark and cold places more than anyone else his age, having had to hide in such places a lot. But that didn't mean he was not scared right now. He felt like crying. Life wasn't fair. People abandoned him, at him, beat on him, hated him, tried to make his live a living hell, and now they kidnap him and leave him out in a place like this to rot. He couldn't hold all of his bottled up emotions back any longer. He broke down and cried. He sat there in the harsh weather sobbing and crying with his head on his knees. Didn't know how long he had sat in the cold snow in his ugly orange jumpsuit, letting all his emotions out at once for the first time in years. After a while he heard a growly, overturned his own sobbing sounds. He lifted his head up and saw 4 black wolves. He never saw a wolf before, but he could tell that these beasts were no normal animals. Bodies were made out of something dark, just like most around him, and they were very big. The wolves grit their teeth in a very intimidating way and looked like they could jump on him at any time to tear him apart. Naruto, in his emotional exhausted state, blew angrily at them with all the hate that he had, and his eyes now a blood red instead of the usual bright blue. A strange but powerful red aura engulfed him slowly, the whisk marks on his cheeks darkened and he grew fangs and claws. He intuitively roared out and charged at the beasts. He killed all 4 of them in the most brutal way he could, using his new claws. Strangely, the wolf corpses turned into shadows and disappeared in the darkness, but Naruto didn't notice or cared about any of that. He just roared out once again and sprinted away with the only thing in his right no being slaughter. After 2 hours he collapsed out of exhausting and fell to the ground. He had killed a lot of more black wolves, as well as black bears, tigers, bulls, dogs and even one Drago beast. What happened? And where am I? He thought after he woke up. Then everything came back to him, the creepy forest, his breakdown and the wolves that were going to him apart, but after that, he didn't know. He was in some sort of big hallway now. It was very dark but he could still see a little bit thanks to the little torches that would HTHE walls randomly. He followed the passageway and came up to a giant gate. The gate was one made of steel bars, it was so huge that he could easily go through the bar. Even so he could not see in, it was just too dark. He looked around and realized that it was a dead end, he could not go anywhere else. Am I jailed? Why would they put me in a huge jail like this? He thought, then it all made sense and he became afraid. Gee, giants, they must be giants, giants eat children. They eat me. He took a deep breath and stepped through 2 bars with the intention to break free and run to somewhere safe, away from the giants. He couldn't see much in the darken. Felt blind as he walked slowly forwards, holding his hands up in front of him as if groping for something. After a minute he stopped, his hands groping something soft, fell in fur. He groped and stroked the huge mass of fur, he even sniffed at it, trying to figure out what it was. He was unaware to the huge pair of red glowing eyes and the giant jaw with many sharp teeth that was behind him. The jaw then changed his form, it looked like it was grinning mischievously now, but suddenly flames appeared and started to swirl around him, enlightening the area, but Naruto just shielded his face. He opened his eyes could feel that the flames were gone and looked around. It was still too dark to see much, but when he looked behind him he stepped back hastily, tripped and fell on his Are you my jailer? What do you want from me and where am I? Stammered Naruto out. Jailer? Asked the other person after blinking a couple of times, then tried to hold back laughter but failed and laughed out loud. Jailer, that's our rich ha ha ha. Naruto was confused, it was an easy and plausible question, and everybody in his shoes would have asked the exact same thing, maybe with less stuttering, but the same question, and this person thought it was funny. He took the time to observe the person better. It was a woman, a beautiful one with a perfect hourglass figure, long red golden eyes and very big breasts, most likely D cups. She was roughly 5 feet and 6 inches tall and wore a nobly black kimono decorated with red flames that hugged curves perfectly. She reminded him a bit too much at Kushina-san, well, at least as long as he did not look below her face. Just Google for Yoko from Tengen Toppa G. Login. But the adult one with glasses and dress, you can try Yomiko too. She looks like her, just with a black kimono and without glasses, so just Google it. The woman finally stopped laughing and smiled softly at him. Sorry about laughing at you, she said and ruffled his hair, but Naruto flinched at the contact with the strange. Backed away more. Who are you? He asked. The woman stared at him with a blank expression for at least 2 minutes before answering his question. I am Yoko, was her short answer, her voice soft and comforting. What do you want from me? Why am I here? He asked. I came here to rescue you, Naru-chan. You are lucky, remember the fur. It was a giant beast that works as a guard here, but I managed to save you just in time, she sighed. Kneeled down and hold her arms out as if wanting him to come into a hug. Don't worry, Naru-chan, I will help you, come. Naruto stood there with open mouth, as if frozen. Someone wants to help him, to comfort him, and she even saved him. He never has been comforted before, well, Kushina did and gave him hugs, but it was rare, she never showed much affection as far as he could remember. But even so, he was never helped or trained, he always wanted to be stronger, to not be weak any longer. He didn't want everyone to step all over him, to be able to protect himself. And now, his body moved towards the woman as if it need offered affection, not giving him any more time to take everything in. He stood in front of her and hesitantly brought his arms up. Yoko pulled him into a warm hug, her playing with his hair and rubbing his back, her breasts pressed against his left cheek. Naruto enjoyed the warm embrace and melted into it. He thought that he had let out all of his hiding feelings already earlier in the forest, not having been able to hold them anymore, but it seemed he was wrong. He started crying again, his tears wetting Yoko's kimono, but she didn't seem to mind it and just continued to rub his back, waiting boy to stop his sobbing. "It's alright, Naru-chan, let it all out now," she said softly. And Naruto did. He cried for 10 minutes, then he wiped his eyes dry and faced Yoko. "Who are you and how do you know me? And where is this place? The forest seemed crammed, it snowed so much, and who took me as prisoner?" said Naruto, getting a look from the Yoko that told him that she was amused, which bothered him a bit. "Like I told you, I am Yoko, you can call me Yoko-chan. I know you because I am your Zanpakuto, soul-cutting sword, spirit. I don't know where we are or who took you Enshin, but if this is where I think it is, then it is extremely bad for us and we need to find a way to leave." "Zanpakuto? What do you mean, why Yoko-chan?" he asked and was a bit hesitated to put the suffix. Yoko smiled at him and said, "What, you did not hear about the legend of the Zanpakuto? As the name says, it is a soul-cutting sword, wielded by soul reapers, and it has a spirit that reflects its wielder's soul. I am your Zanpakuto spirit, Naru-chan. I am part of your soul." She finished with a hug. "Wow, so I get a sword?" he asked. "Sure, you will get one later, but for now we needed to leave and get back to your old place, Naru-chan. We have only a chance to do so if you become stronger, you need to and learn to use my powers," she said. "You are going to train me?" he asked wide-eyed. "Yes, you need to be strong to survive here and you need to learn how to use my powers if you want to escape. Close your eyes for a moment, Naru-chan, and I will get you this prison," told Yoko, pleased. Naruto closed his eyes as told. After a few seconds he could feel it snow. He opened his eyes just to find out that he was back in the creepy forest. He looked around to find. But she was nowhere around. Did she abandon me? Thought Naruto fearfully. "No, Naru-chan, I am part of your soul, remember? I am in your mind most of the time," said Yoko. "Oh, I am glad you didn't left me, Yoko-chan. So you can read my thoughts," thought Naruto. "Hi, Naru-chan. Just think if you want to talk to me. And if you sleep you will meet me, just like a few moments ago," she said and paused a bit as if thinking something. "Oh. The place you were in was just a nightmare and I woke you up, but since it was a dream you could change your surroundings next time. I will explain it to you the end time you are dreaming, for now we have to make a camp somewhere. Try to go and find a cave or some big tree with a hole or something like that," said Yoko and Naruto. To look for a camp, but was a bit nervous. He didn't want to meet some wolves again, but luckily nothing was around for some reason. Naruto went to look for a camp, but was a bit nervous. He didn't want to meet some wolves again, but luckily nothing was around for some reason. It took an hour, but he found a huge tree with a cave-like hole at the bottom that he could use as shelter. He went inside and saw that it was empty and big enough for him. Strangely, the inside, not as dirty as it should be, it was like dirt. Spider webs or even bugs didn't exist in this forest. But he didn't give much thought to it since it was a good thing, he just sat back leaning on the black walls of the tree, hugging his knees to his chest. "I am hungry, Yoko-chan," said Naruto as his stomach growled out. "I haven't seen anything eatable around, hell there isn't a single plant in the forest, save for this black tr. And I don't really want to try out how one of this black wolves tastes. Yes, I didn't see anything too, Naru-chan. It's like this whole place is not real," said Yoko with a sigh. "Huh, what do you mean, how can it not be real?" questioned Naruto, but Yoko chooses not to answer him. "At least water is no problem with all the snowing, after all snow is cold water," said Yoko after a while. "Naru-chan. Quick, look outside, I can sense a small animal." Naruto lifted his head from his knees and looked out to the snowing weather, and true to Yoko's words, there was a little snow rabbit. It took him a while to find it, since it was extremely hard to see in all the white snow. Would it have not been for Yoko, he wouldn't have ever noticed it. Thank you, Yoko-chan, he said happily and ran out immediately, intending to catch himself a meal. He ran after the rabbit for 30 minutes, before he finally managed to catch it. The damn thing was amazingly fast, and Naruto was now totally exhausted, his lungs hurt a low because of the cold weathers, and he thought that his, now blue foots, were not alive anymore. He went back to his cave and held the rabbit on his lap and stroked its fur. Know what to do now. How could he eat it? Huh? What now, Yoko-chan, how do I eat it? He asked. Yoko's sweat dropped but answered nonetheless, the easiest way, Naru-chan, is to eat it raw. Just bite down on his neck and use your fangs to tear some flesh off, then chew it. Naruto thought that Yoko was joking and just ignored her advice and was daydreaming about some nice ramen as he hugged the rabbit to his chest to stay warm. Yoko realized that he didn't like her advice and thought that he would not figure out something on his own, so she decided to help him a bit. Well, Naru-chan, you could it and hold it over a campfire to cook it, but then all the tasty blood would be wasted. She joked and chuckled a bit. I don't know how to cook like that, and how can I make a fire? I guess your only chance would be using chakra. She said. Alright, then we just have to start with the training right now. First you need to feel your chakra to under it better. You have two types of chakra, Naru-chan. A blue type and a red type. Try to feel them both, she said. Naruto could feel them both after 20 minutes and then tried to draw on his blue chakra with the help of a hand seal that Yoko showed him and succeeded. Alright, Naru-chan, if you manage to mold a little bit of your red chakra into your hands, then your nails will grow into claws. You can use the claws like a knife to cut the raw skin off. You will need something to burn to keep the fire going, but since it is snowing and the trees don't look like wood at all, you will have to use the rabbit fur. You can a little flame if you snap your fingers while molding red chakra into them. Okay, let's practice with the red chakra first and then kill and skin the rabbit, before practicing flames. The rabbit has to bleed all the blood out before you can cook it anyway, explained Yoko. Naruto managed to grow claws after an hour of practice. He told to the rabbit that he was sorry and that it was either he or him, then killed and skinned it, following Yoko's instructions along the way. When he finished, he let all the blood bleed out while he tried to create a flame. It took him 20 minutes, but he succeeded and made a fire inside the cave, using the rabbit fur, and held the rabbit over it for 20 minutes. He then ate it slowly and tried to sleep and hopefully dream about Yoko again. Hoppin'. No wolves would come, smelling all the blood, but at least it was buried a bit under the snow, making it harder to smell. He opened his eyes and found himself back in the same dark hallway again. He followed the passageway down and stepped out of his jail, through 2 bars. It was dark, but you could already see Yoko sitting and waiting for him, because of the light that was around her like a holy aura. Hello, Naru-chan, greeted Yoko and went to give him a hug. You did a great job cooking the rabbit. You are such a big boy, aren't you, Naru-chan? Praised Yoko as she drew his hairs. Thank you, Yoko-chan, he said as he blushed. It looks like you have this nightmare again with the giants and the prison, Naru-chan. It's just good that you have me to kill all the monsters, said Yoko with a smile. How about you change the view a bit? You have to concentrate and try to image what you want everything to look like. Naruto did as he was told and closed his eyes. He opened them after a few seconds again and saw that they were standing on a grass hill now. The hill had many beautiful flowers and trees on it, and he could see very far away. The grass and flower fields seemed to never end. There was also a blue sky with a few white clouds, and he could the wind blowing. Why is there a kanji for seal painted on the middle of the hill? He asked, remembering that he saw something similar on the prison gate too. Yoko just shrugged. Don't know. How about we go somewhere down, Yoko-chan? It's so windy up on this grass hill, we could go for a walk, said Naruto. But I like it up here, Naru-chan. Let us stay here, it will be more fun here, I promise you, said Yoko, sweating a bit and rubbing the back off her head while laughing nervous. They spent the time together talking. Yoko mostly explained him things that could be useful to him and gave him theory of basic techniques and how chakra control work. Practicing in his mindscape didn't do anything to his body, so they had to stick to theory only, but Naruto paid surprisingly much attention to what Yoko said. The days went by with Naruto practicing and training his body at day in everything that Yoko showed him and in learning theory from Yoko at night in his mindscape. Serper. A rabbit would appear once every day and he would catch and eat it, after preparing it like he learned. At first it always appeared very close to him, later he had to go and for it, with the area getting bigger every day, and he would never see more than one rabbit around. After a week the rabbits stopped to appear, but in their place he could other animals, like a snake, a sheep, a deer, a chicken, a turkey, a cow, and the list goes on with even stranger animals, even some that he did not know. He had to kill and prepare every single one of them, but it was not easy with the weather since somehow it never stopped snowing, and a cow could hardly fit into his cave. He even started made warmer clothes and shoes out of the animal skins and furs. Yoko surprisingly knew how to do it and told it to him in one of their theory sessions, as well as how to saint warm by using his red chakra. Also the black beast started to appear again. It was on the third day that the first appeared. He was just busy preparing his rabbit when he heard a growling outside. He w out and saw that it was one single black wolf. He thought that it came because of the smell of blood, so he threw his rabbit to the side hoping that it would take the food, but sadly it ignored the rabbit and showed him his sharp teeth before charging at him. It was only thanks to his training that he survived. He killed the wolf using his claw. He grew out with his red chakra, but he got wounded a bit, which surprisingly healed amazing fast. It almost freaked him out when the wolf corpse turned into a black shaddies appeared. He had asked Yoko about it, but she didn't give him an answer. The black beasts constantly made attacks on his base, at first just at daytime and later even at night, which forced him to learn how to be able to wake up quickly if in da with the time they attacked in larger numbers, and later even stronger beasts came, like bears, tigers or dragons and different kind of monsters. Yoko had to speed up his training and tried to teach him more advanced stuff after the first attack. She mostly focused on training with the red chakra, so that he would master using it, which he could now draw out till he was engulfed with it completely and got some kind of red chakra tail. It was the main reason he was still alive. 3 months had passed now since Naruto had first met Yoko. The two of them became very close, which was no surprise seeing how they spend 24 hours a day together and had no other person to talk to, especially with Naruto's hidden desires for affection and love, which Yoko gave him plenty of. Naruto was right now practicing a fire attack that Yoko tried to teach him when suddenly his now sharp senses alarmed him of the arrival of something. He looked around and could see a man appear. The man was 4 feet 6 inches tall. He called him a man, because even short he was old looking and had a long red beard, tan skin, wore red ro with silver armor over it and had a big axe on his back. Naru-chan, this is a dwarf. Go ask him if he know how to get out of here. He might know, said Yoko, but was a bit confused with the dwarf's arrival. Hello Mr. Dwarf, do you, by any chance, know what place this is? Asked Naruto as he approached the small man. This is a shadow realm, kiddo, told the dwarf and eyed Naruto. How can I leave this place? I don't know how you can leave here, but I know how I can, he said as he took his axe into his hands. Sorry kiddo, it is either you or me, and I prefer if it is you. Naruto got a flashback to when he spoke to his first rabbit and immediately knew what was going to happen. He summoned as much of his red chakra as he could. The Changilfed him, and took the shape of a fox, with fox ears and a single tail, both made of chakra. His whisker-like marks on his cheeks darkened, his eyes turned red and silt. He grew claws and fangs. Naruto's transformation surprised the dwarf and he said, "You have the powers of fire and light in you, so you are a noble from Fire, huh? What, so you are not from Fire, the kingdom of fire and light? Well anyway, it just makes this easier if you not from my home. Now hold still," said the dwarf and charged with axe only for Naruto to avoid his strikes. He was strong but slower than Naruto with his red chakra. This is bad Naruto, he was obviously offered a way out of here for killing you. You have to kill him somehow, said Yoko seriously. Naruto didn't like killing. It was even hard for him to kill the animals at first, but he had to do it in order to survive. Now he had to kill a human, in order to survive, but Sue. Really do it. I don't know if I can kill someone, Yoko-chan, thought Naruto quietly while trying to keep his distance to the dwarf. Naruto, didn't you say that you wanted to grow stronger to protect yourself so that people could no longer walk all over you? What right does this guy have to come here? You just for his own selfish needs. Said Yoko. Naru-chan, if you die so do I, do you want me to die here? It was true, she was right, he had to kill the man, and he could no longer let people walk all over him like they did all the time in Konoha. You are right, Yoko-chan, I trained and fought to survive for the last 3 months. I can't just give up now and die just like this, especially if it means you die too, I will ma. Sure you survive, Yoko-chan. He thought and took a deep breath as he molded his red chakra and threw a swirling stream of fire from his hands towards the at him charging. The dwarf was surprised by this and got almost hit full force but managed to shield himself a bit with his big axe. His armor shielded him too, but he got burns on his hand. Neck. He dropped his axe from the pain and cursed out loud. Naruto used that time to charge at him with his claws and slashed at his head. The dwarf ducked under the punch and kicked out but failed as little Naruto dodged to the side and slashed again with his claws, wounding the dwarf on his arm. He slashed again with the other hand, this time towards his enemy's head, but missed as the dwarf jumped back and draw a little knife. The dwarf's free hand glow in a white light and he hold it above his wound, which begun to heal fast and closed in few seconds. He looked back at Naruto and threw his knife. Taken him by surprise. Naruto dodged but got a little cut on his cheek and watched as the dwarf took out another knife to throw. Naruto charged at him while dodging incoming weapons. Before he reached the man, he could hear him call out, "Holy smite," as his hand glowed white again. Then Naruto was suddenly thrown backwards after being hit by some bright white energy. He stood up and could feel pain in his chest. He was wounded, but lucky his red chakra managed to absorb most of the damage and was already healing him slowly. He grew angrily and held a hand up towards the dwarf. It glowed red and a fireball shot out towards the man and hit him full force on the chest. Naruto had still his hand in the high. Was concentrating hard before his hands glowed red again and a bright red light hit the on the ground sitting dwarf, tearing his armor open and wounding him. Naruto charged at the dwarf, who struggled to stand up and slashed with his claws at him, pushing his arm through the now armor-free chest. He could see into the mons. As he died after managing out a "Good job, kiddo." Naruto removed his arm out of the dead mon's chest and dropped to his knees. His red chakra disappeared. "Good job, Naru-chan," said Yoko happily. "Thank you," thought Naruto, but could not help and feel bad, well, just a little, since he did it only in self-defense. Suddenly a clapping sound appeared. He looked to where it came from and saw a tall man in armor standing 20 feet behind him, walking slowly towards him. The man, roughly 6 feet 5 inches tall and looked very old. He had a silver crown on his head and a nice sword on his hip. He had long gray hair and beard and pale gray skin. He dark gray and blue metallic armor and gave a lot of power off, telling the whole world that it was better to not mess with him. "Well done, child," he said with a powerful voice. "You impressed me even though you depended on others' help, but that was to be expected. You had to use you had after all." "Who are you?" asked Naruto. He could not help but feel a bit afraid of this man, and what Yoko said didn't made it easier at all. He could clearly hear that she was afraid too. Yoko knew who the man was, there was no doubt, everything made now sense, and she was afraid. She would like nothing more than to run away, but she knew that Naruto not be able to escape, especially in this place. "Naruto, this man is dangerous, do not anger him and try to be respectful, he is one of the most powerful being I know about. He would not have any moral problems to kill you. I am the one that took you away from your home and set you out here, the one that sent everything that attacked you out to kill you, and the one that provide you with the living animals, seeing as nothing eatable exists here. This is after all just a realm of my creation, used only as storage space or crystal. The man. What do you want from me? Why do you brought me here?" asked Naruto with venom in his voice. Even though he was afraid, he could not help but feel hatred towards Th for what he did. "I brought you here to test you, to test if you can survive. I am Kokuden, king of Genia, the kingdom of ice and darkness. My kingdom is in need of a Thr prince, and I am giving you a chance to earn the crown, to become the next king," told the old smirking king. What? K King, me, why? Asked Naruto shocked. I know more about you than you do yourself, boy. I watched your life from the moment you were born to this moment now. I am no human, I lived for 1,000 years, and time has a different meaning for me than it does for you. I am giving you the choice now, you can decline and return to your preview in your pathetic home village. Or you can accept my offer and learn more about yourself and be giving a little bit of powers over ice and darkness, only a glimpse of power compared to what you would hold as King Tough, as well as the basic training before you go out on your own to prove yourself to me. But warned, if you accepted, then many more tests and trials will be waiting for you, and there will be many others fighting for the throne as well, explained K. Naruto was at a loss of words, he didn't know what to do. He knew that what the guy did was bad and that he almost died because of him, but he could now see that it was honor as well. A king did choose him to be his heir, of course there must be tests, difficult ones, he could forgive that. The only question now was if he accepted or not, to talk to Yoko but received no answer, he didn't know that the king was blocking their connection right now. I accept, Kokuden-sama, he said after he thought it over for some minutes and bowed respectfully. Kokuden was very powerful, he could feel his aura, and he thought the kingdom must be big and strong. If he would become a king, he would be accepted and respected greatly. Just an idiot would refuse that, and Naruto was anything but one. Kokuden smirked and put his big hand on Naruto's head and pushed his own energy into the boy's body, trying to alter Naruto's DNA and whole body. Naruto screamed out, and tears formed in his eyes. Faya and Genya are arch enemies, so are their energies itself. He said as he ignored the boy's screaming, you used Faya's energy over light and fire a lotta. Your body started to adapt to it even though the powers weren't your own. That's why this hurts much more now than it usually does. The whole procedure took 5 minutes. Kokuden removed his hands and took a lot at the boy. He now had much more pale skin and his blonde hairs turned a light ice blue. Whisker marks vanished completely, he lost a bit of baby fat but not much and he grew a couple of inches. Also his body temperature decreased and became so cold that each breath was visible, but the cold felt comforting now. Naruto opened his eyes and widened them, he was in his dream world right now where he always meets Yoko. Kokuden was standing right next to him and Yoko sat on the ground in front of him, hugging herself and whimpering, fear clearly visible on her face. What did you do to Yoko-chan? Shouted Naruto immediately as he ran to Yoko to comfort her. She grabbed onto him and seemed to calm down a bit. I did nothing, she is a pet of Kojin, from Faya, and it is just my mere presence that terrifies her, because she is weak, he said in his usual emotionless but powerful voice. I told you that you will learn more about yourself, I brought you here because we will start with your previous friend. No, leave us alone, yelled Yoko after managing to calm herself a bit. What's going on, Yoko-chan? What does he mean and why are you so afraid? Asked a worried Naruto. Naru-chan, please kill him, you can do it here, this is your mind after all, pleaded Yoko quietly. Kokuden heard it and laughed. That may be true, he could theoretically even freeze me to death here, but I could easily escape before that or just kill him. As he looked towards Yoko, then he turned to Naruto and asked, tell me, young one, did you really believe the story that she is a Zanpakuto spirit? What? One of her many lies, boy, she used you for her own selfish needs. She is a pet Kojin's, the same 9-tailed fox that attacked your village on the day you were born, the reason you lost both parents, the reason you did not receive a simple and happy life. She told you false stories to keep you under her lash, you did not die herself, she had hoped and still hopes to break out of you one day, using you to accomplish this goal. Why do you think did she never talkie? You or helped you before when you was beaten or in need of help, attention or love? Because she did not want to associate with a mere human like you, Now that she was bored and you came close to dying so often, she did contact you of course, stated the King of Ice and Darkness with a evil smirk. Yoko did want to say something and deny it but she couldn't, she was frozen in place, not really frozen, and could feel an emotional pain, but why? Everything the king sigh, true. Was she just afraid of death now or had she somehow really bonded to her jailer? She didn't know and it confused and hurt her to no end. Naruto was heartbroken, he did not want to believe any of it, but everything just made sense now. He could see all the lies she had told him now, all the false attention and she had given him. He was not experienced with such feelings and had not been able to see through it. He was betrayed and abandoned once again, and again by a person loved the most in the world, remembering all the time they had spent together, and now he hated this person, that reminded him so much of Kushina-san, even more now. Before Naru-chan place, started Yoko now hoping to explain herself but was interrupted by Naruto. Shut up! Screamed Naruto with a powerful voice and the whole area suddenly changed into ice and Yoko's body froze, leaving only her head not engulfed with ice. It be dark as dark clouds appeared in the sky and it begun to snow, it was the perfect frozen darkness. Shut up, Yoko. San, he said weakly without any emotions in his voice as he turned his back to her. Shut up, Yoko. San, he said weakly without any emotions in his voice as he turned his back to her. Yoko flinched. It was clear that he saw her just like Uzumaki Kushina now. But why did she care? After all, one's own survival is the only thing that matters. She could easily change her path and try something else to break out of her cage now that the easy route was blocked forever, so why did she care? Why does it pain me so much? But couldn't think of any answer that she could accept. What do you wish to do with her child? Questioned the aged king as he looked down to the 6 years old. I need time for myself, was all he said with a broken voice. Kokuden growled, but grabbed him on the shoulder and the two disappeared out of Naruto's mindla. Yoko alone in her frozen prison. Yoko closed her beautiful golden eyes and flames begun to swirl around her. All the ice was melted away after 2 minutes and she shifted back into a giant nine-tailed fox. Not much a challenge to free herself out of the ice prison without Naruto there to hold it, after all she was skilled with the use of her fire and light powers. The weather still dark and cold and it still snowed, but she just shrugged it off and lay down to sleep. Beings of fire never felt cold and beings of Genia never felt warm, no matter climate it was. The cold could only hurt her if the aggressor was more powerful than herself. What worried Yoko the most was that she was most likely going to die. The time she had left to escape out of her imprisonment was short. Now that Naruto was from Genie, with the abilities to command ice and darkness, his powers would be in constant battle with her own powers, destroying his body in the clash, and not even this damned S could prevent this. It was a force of nature after all. But if he dies then the seal would make sure to kill her as well. She knew that the Ice King was aware of all of this. Probably the reason that Naruto's powers stayed away from her own right now, preventing him from dying from the ill effects. But he could only protect him as long as Nar was here in the King's Shadow Realm. Naruto could not leave it as long as she was sealed inside of him. Yes, the time that he needed to get rid of her was close, the time to escape was almost up. What to do, just what to do, thought Yoko sadly. Ooh. Naruto stood now in the dark forest of Kokuden's Shadow Realm. The dark and cold weather was not making him suffer any longer. No, it felt very comforting now, even Betty. A summer night with a cool breeze would. Next to him stood Kokuden, but he didn't look happy at all. With the life you lived you should have already known that you cannot trust anybody but yourself, told Kokuden coldly with his usual strong voice as he grabbed surprised little boy by the throat and lifted him to eye level, which was 6 feet and 5 inches up in the air. Even I cannot be trusted, boy, in fact I am your biggest threat, he said dangerously. I will not protect you, I will not hold your hand, no, I will be watching and cheering on the assassins that Kojin will send to T. apart. He spat as he tightened his grip. If they fail I will send my own assassins after you, boy, striking every time you let your guard down even for a fracti. A second. He growled but stopped as he let Naruto back down. And do you know why? Because you are Naruto of Genia, that can live and survive in a froze darkness, born for a great task, and the best candidate for my throne. You are the only one ever that received a bit of my powers, making you one of my bloodline. That is why I will push you so hard that you will wish you were never born, he said with his emotionless but strong voice and let silence hang in the air. While we will begin your training in 1 week, but I will kill you if you have not overcome your emotional weakness by then, he told with seriousness in his and disappeared. Naruto was surprised by this. He didn't expect everything to become so complicated, he didn't need anyone to tell him all of the hurting truths. Kokuden was just a terrify in that would do everything he had just said, no doubt, and that worried Naruto to no end. He lay down in the snow and tried to sleep, he needed the rest, because it was all too much for him right now. What do you want? Spat Yoko as she lifted her giant head to glare at him. Informations of course. Answered Kokuden unaffected. You sure acted very terrified of me for the boy back then, did you really thought that you could have him in your grasp forever? He questioned and chuckled coldly. I sure as hell did, you should have never interfered you bastard. What do you even want of him, feeding him with all this lies about becoming the throne prince, do you just want to make him suffer because he holds me in him? Growled out Yoko. You care, don't you? Asked Kokuden and chuckled loud and coldly, it seems you grew soft, don't you know that one should only care for himself? I forgoes affect you if he dies. He joked and laughed. And I have never lied in anything in all my years, after all lying is only a tool for the weak. Naruto will be Prince of Genia, should he impress me that is, but he has 74 rivals right now. Exactly, you made it sound like he already won so that you can play with him, snarled Yoko. Kokuden just smirked and said, tell me why you left Faya. What, you could not find it out on your own? Asked Yoko and looked amused. Well, seeing as your information network sucks big time, I can lower myself to answer you time. King Kojin wanted me as his wife, I refused and he tried to force himself on me, I didn't like that one bit and left. Some humans then managed to summon me to a H-world and could control me with some strange object that even absorbed 90% of my powers, they ordered me to attack some village, and it was then that I was sealed in. Naru-chan. Kokuden smirked. I already knew everything but the reason you left your position. In fact, I know way more than you do, little girl. I will lover myself this on as well and tell you how you were betrayed by your own kind. He told and laughed darkly. What are you blabbering about, old man? Asked Yoko while glaring at the aged king. Kojin did not like it that you left and abandoned your position. Well, so my spies told me, but now it is clear that he didn't like you rejecting him. He thought about a way to make you pay. That's when a human worshipper of his asked him for a weapon to take over a human world in his name. Kojin gave him the of hell statue and the means to summon and control you. Your power is probably sealed in it by now. The statue has 10 storage slots and each storage is controlled by a ring. The one who wears the ring can use the powers inside the storage as they were his own, no drawbacks. You were supposed to be inside a baby that day, so that you could be sealed inside the King of Hell statue one day together with other outcasts of Genia and Faya, your powers thus to control the human race, all serving under a single human, and all worshipping Kojin. Even though they have 90% of your powers already, they will to seal you into it as well, or they cannot control your powers properly like how I explained earlier, told Kokuden with amusement as he watched Yoko's face expressions. And Faya claims to be a good and peaceful kingdom. They are cowards, only peaceful towards the strong, the ones they cannot win against. Genia ha ha ha. Yoko was furious hearing this. Kojin went too far this time, she wanted to kill him badly, and she needed revenge. She grit her teeth as she spoke the next few words. Came very hard for her. Please free me and I shall serve you. I want to kill that son of a bitch. Don't be foolish, little girl. This is Genia. You are only tolerated as corpse or as slave, besides you have only 1/10 of your former powers left, Makin. Too weak to accomplish anything, and even if you get the rest of your powers back you will still be too weak to fight Kojin. The only reason you are still alive. Because I see you as slave to my child. Said Kokuden coldly, shocking Yoko with what he said. Did he just say, child? She thought, see child. What did you expect? I gave him powers of my own and changed his DNA to mine, he is of my direct blood now. You are his property, you will die if he w. Or live if he should allows. Stated Kokuden emotionless, now tell me everything about Kojin and his army, Ritona Yomiko, ex-general of Faya. Ooh. Naruto used his week in the frozen darkness of Kokuden's shadow realm to get used to the new powers he received. He started just how he had 3 months ago with the chakra. Since both types of energies were very similar, it didn't take him very long to use it for some little techniques that he thought up, like shooting a frost bolt out of high. Or making shadows move just with his will. He also didn't have to hunt for animals and then prepare them anymore. Now packages with already prepared and eatable food appear and there were no attacks on him any longer as well. He also tried to forget about Yoko-san, he would block her out completely so that she could not contact him. He grew back to his old emotionless self and hid all of his feel away completely to not to be weak anymore. He once again dwell in his hatred for all the people that wronged him as well, and took Kokuden's words to heart, he would on himself from now on. Still he could not help but think about Yoko, just like with Kushina-san, his nice memories that he had with her were still precious to him, and they were most likely what kept him sane. He even felt bad a little that he had left her, trapped in her dark ice prison suffering from the cold. She was not used to it after all since she from a land of fire and light, well so he thought. But he pushed these thoughts away quickly when he could see Kokuden standing next to him. "Welcome back Kokuden-sama," he said emotionless. "I see you are ready to begin your training," said Kokuden and smirked. Ooh oh 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 ooh. The training with Kokuden was different than that with Yoko. Yoko had been helpful and supporting and never went past his limits. Kokuden was a slave driver, working him ground with physical exercises, and he was not helpful or supporting at all. He would come, show him something and then leave after telling only a few hints. Naruto would to try and figure out how he did it on his own, and Kokuden would only pop up again if he succeeded, no matter how long it took. He would also leave books from time to time. Naruto would have to read. They were about Genya and Faya, everything he needed to know if he wanted to succeed as a king. Some books also taught him about politics, strategies, martial arts, weapons, the art of the water element and its healing powers and various other things. It was now 1 year since Naruto had started his training under Kokuden. He was 7.5 years old now and stood 4 feet and 3 inches tall. He didn't wear self-made clothes out of animal fur any longer. Kokuden had given him a male shirt that was suited for combat and taught him how to use the darkness powers to make clothes. So he now wore a sleeveless dark blue male shirt. It was made by Kokuden's personal blacksmiths with the best magical ore from Genya. It felt like silk on his skin and was light and did not make any clanging sounds or affect his movements, but was still very hard, gave a lot of protection and would grow with him over the time. To hide it he sleeveless black, noble-looking shirt over it. It was made out of his own darkness powers and could be repaired easily in mere seconds. His pants were made of darkness and matched his shirt. He also wore some dark blue combat boots made of the same ore like his male shirt. It was a gift from Kokuden as well and had the same special ab as his male shirt. The 2 very valuable armor pieces were given to him as a gift because he managed to learn 2 advanced techniques. Even though Kokuden did only give him basic try, he showed him 3 advanced techniques that only very few people in Genya could perform. Kokuden had just been curious to see if his prodigy would have been able to a few techniques that only he himself and some of his most powerful warriors could do, and Naruto had impressed him with learning 2 of them, when Kokuden had not expected him to learn any of them. Flashback 5 months ago. Kokuden was sitting in his self-made black throne, watching his shadow fighting hand to hand against Naruto, dominating the battle brutally. His shadow that he could call twas a black clone of himself and a master of hand-to-hand combat. It could not die as long as Kokuden was alive, and it was physically even stronger than he himself, but it not the powers of ice and only very little powers of darkness to command over. "That's enough for now," told Kokuden as he stood up and walked towards Naruto. His shadow turned back to normal. "I will come back tomorrow. I can still continue Kokuden-sama," protested Naruto weakly, but panted heavily. Kokuden had long ago stopped in becoming impressed with the boy's spirit. He even tried to break him and to make him give up, but surprisingly could not succeed without the boy, because he kept going no matter what. It was admirable and Kokuden respected that. "Then how about I show you a advanced skill that only a few have managed to perform? Are you ready for such a challenge?" he asked while studying the boy. Naruto looked up with determination and joy before replying with an, "Of course." Kokuden grabbed Naruto by his neck and lifted him into the air. "Use your powers, child." Naruto tried to obey, but he could not. Hell, he could hardly move and he could not feel any of his ice or darkness powers. What technique is this Kokuden-sama? Asked Na weakly. The touch of darkness. He answered, as long as you touch someone using this technique all of the victim's energies will be blocked, making him unable to them. If you master this technique then you can even absorb your victim's energy, making them your own or feed them into the big void of the darkness. Explained the aged king, and Naruto widened his eyes. Of course it will not work if your opponent is stronger or even close to your level, you will need to weak first if he is too strong. He let go of Naruto before speaking again. You need to search and find the origins of the powers of darkness and make a deeper connecting with it. If it does accept you then this technique will be out of your reach. Meditate and try to find it. If you succeed with the basics of this technique then I will give you a. He said and left Naruto alone, waiting till he would give up to continue his basic training. To his surprise Naruto did not give up, he would try to figure the technique out all day, but still do his routine training to keep in shape. He managed to learn it after 2. But never stopped to try and master it. After all it was the ability to absorb someone's powers and make them your own that attracted him the most. Flashback 3 months ago. I believe it is time for another challenge, child. I will show you another advanced technique. Watch closely. Told Kokuden, and Naruto watched closely as the Aking hold his hand up and spoke. I call you forth Frostmourne, and blue glowing ice begun to swirl around his arm and a sword formed. It was beautiful to watch and a power could be felt. Kokuden now held a silver sword in his hand. Its blade was glowing in an icy blue and was decorated with many glowing runes. It was a long sword with a skull as its guard, cold and powerful aura around it. Calling a sword from your hip into your hand as an advanced skill, Kokuden-sama? Questioned Naruto, not much impressed of the technique itself. Foolish boy, this was the art of summoning and forming a bond with a mystical weapon. If you do it you will receive your own sword, you can either keep with you or send it back where it came from to summon it again when you need it. Stated Kokuden coldly. I see, how I do it? Asked Naruto, eager to learn it. You use your powers of ice or of darkness and try to contact a weapon. If a weapon chooses you as its wielder, you will know it and can summon it forth calling out its name. Told Kokuden and left the boy alone, curious if the boy would be accepted by something, though it was very unlikely. Naruto sat down and meditated. He opened his eyes after only an hour and widened them. He immediately stood up and held his hands out, concentrating hard. Kokuden appeared next to him with a surprised look. It was hard to believe that he could have succeeded, especially in such a short time. I call you forth Oblivion's call, said Naruto, and the ground in front of him opened. Magma flew out of it, as well as a sword which Naruto took and held proudly. It was like Frostmourne, but engulfed with a black energy and different runes and design on it. Its guard was a dragon skull with blue glowing eyes. It was even longer than Naruto himself but felt very light in his hands. The ground in front of him closed again and he stood there in awe of his new sword and memorized every detail of it. Impressive. Not only did you succeed in such short time, but bonded with such a terrifying sword as well, praised Kokuden and clapped. It is so awesome, I can feel so much power coming from it, I wonder what it can do, said Naruto, still eyeing the sword. Oblivion's Call is a sword that was made in hell itself. It isn't well known, but according to legend, it has more power than imaginable. Before now it has wielded by one other person. Do you know every weapon, Kokuden-sama? Asked Naruto, shocked. No, of course not. I only know the few powerful ones, stated Kokuden. So would this other wielder come after me for using it? Asked Naruto nervously, but hid it well. No, he would go nowhere near it even if ordered, ha ha ha, told the aged king and chuckled a bit. Besides, you cannot summon something that is already weak. The previous owner does have a new sword now. How can you know that? Asked Naruto curiously. Because he is one of my generals, said the smirking king. His name is Achilles. He was born as a human, but he was not normal. The gods themselves took as a baby and dipped him into the magical river, Styx. It made him invulnerable in all of his body except for his right heel, where the gods had held him. He later killed in battle by an arrow to the heel, his only weak point. He was sent to hell where he found and wielded Oblivion's Call. The only known ability sword is that it can open a portal and send his enemies directly to hell, but it even can break out from hell itself. It was how Achilles came to Genia Express. Kokuden emotionless. So you mean even if I die I can just escape? Yes, but you cannot choose where the sword will take you. There are not many worlds that are worse than hell itself, but there are still a few, you could end in one of them, said Kokuden with a smirk. Oh, and why would Achilles not come near it? Because this sword is dangerous, if you fear it, it will destroy you. You cannot escape it, because even if you run away it will haunt you and drive you in, never letting you out of its grasp, said Kokuden darkly. Achilles is still suffering from it, this sword is the only thing that he fears, and this fear is what mock sword so strong and wants to kill him. Naruto dropped the weapon in shock and stepped back, looking at it with wide eyes. What? Why do you tell me something like this? Do you want me to get killed? Yelled Naruto. Ha ha ha, you should have not asked, boy. Besides, it was only what Achilles told me, but he honestly believed in what he said, that idiot. If you do as well, don't use it, but you cannot summon a different sword anymore, told the aged king, clearly amused, and left the boy alone with his new sword. Naruto watched it from afar, clearly afraid of it now. Seriously, why did that bastard king had to tell him the truth? He would have done better without knowing it. He watched. The ground opened up again and the sword disappeared to where it came from inside in relief. End of flashbacks. The last technique was the creation of an own shadow realm, but Naruto had yet to figure it out. He now stood in the middle of a clearing in the forest waiting for the Ice King, but Kokuden appeared not alone this time. Next to him stood a young teen around Anto sharp needles that suddenly came down much faster, but were stopped by some shadow shields that Peleus raised up. Peleus ran with his sword in his hand towards the unarmed Naruto and blocked a frost bolt with his sword, but it did not slow him down. He slashed at Naruto multiple times, giving him any time to prepare any attacks, but was actually too slow to hit Naruto. While Naruto dodged all of Peleus' sword blows, his hands began slowly to glow blue again. He narrowed his eyes when Peleus sliced down, intending to cleave him in two. Dodged it to the side and grabbed onto the sword's blade with both hands as it hit the ground. Surprisingly, the blade froze completely, forcing Peleus to let go and even shat. As Naruto stepped on it and then kicked Peleus into the stomach, but his kick was too weak and the armor absorbed it all. He then received a punch to the face and flew few feet. Peleus held both his hands up and concentrated. He sent a big and powerful shadow bolt towards Naruto and hit him full force on the back. Naruto screamed out in pain as flew forward and smashed face first into a black tree. His mail shirt shielded him from the attack pretty good, but he still could feel the painful impact of the shadow bolt. On the ground with his back leaned on the tree and coughed out blood. Peleus was shocked that his big shadow bolt did not pierce through him. He had used all of his power in it after all. He was exhausted now but thought that Naruto could not up any longer and walked slowly towards him. When he stood in front of him, he gave him a hard kick to the face and spit on him. I told you that you would die, didn't I? He asked, not really expecting an answer, and lifted the small boy up into the air by his throat, but Naruto's bloody smirk disturbed. You are so exhausted after such a short time, when I am not even winded. Don't you train 16 hours a day? Well, you should, told Naruto after grabbing Peleus by hand and chuckled. You lost. Peleus felt weak and his legs gave in, making him collapses on the ground, his hand still in Naruto's hold. What the hell did you do to me, you bastard? Questioned Peleus, afraid. The touch of darkness. All your energies in your body are blocked, you can hardly move now, acknowledged Naruto proudly. Why you see can you use that? Even I see cannot perform it, why you must be cheating, why you bastard? Said Peleus in panic, let me go. Let me go this instant or my will have your head. Did I not already tell you that I don't give a damn, you moron? He said as his hands glowed blue again. I have mastered this technique, your powers will be mine, you will. When I take it all, told Naruto darkly, and absorbed all of Peleus' darkness powers into himself and could immediately feel more powerful. In the end, his opponent stopped existing and disappeared. Well done, child. Well done, came the familiar powerful voice of Kokuden together with a clapping sound, and Naruto answered with a thank you, without turning around. Just repaired his damaged clothes, made out of darkness. Who was his father anyway, Kokuden-sama? He asked, fearing that it might become a problem later. He is a son of Achilles. But you should have no problems dealing with him if you use Oblivion's call, said Kokuden with a dark smirk. That bastard, He chooses the arrogant prick to force me into using that cursed sword one day, thought Naruto angrily, but with an emotionless face outward. What now? Before you can leave this place you need to deal with that pet of Kojin's. As one of Genya you cannot have it inside you, I will come back to open you AP. After you have dealt with it. He said and left. Naruto frowned. He didn't expect that and didn't like this one bit. How do I even get rid of her? He thought, but he then got an idea. He sat down and tried to enter his Go and see her for the first time after a whole year. Naruto appeared in the dark and snowing place where Yoko was sealed, but was shocked to see her sleeping as a huge nine-tailed fox, when he had thought that she was Tr. And suffered in all this time. Yoko lifted her big head and widened her eyes. She hadn't believed to see him again, but now here he was. She immediately changed into her human form and run towards him intending to hug him and said, Naru-chan. So you came to forgive me, huh? I know you would. Naruto hold a hand up and a huge amount of ice appeared all over the place. Yoko was frozen completely save for her head once again. Yoko did not try to break free. She thought it was futile because Naruto's powers were endless inside of his mind. You misunderstood, Yoko-san. I can't leave the Shadow Realm as long as I hold you inside of me. It is also the reason why I came. Now hold still, I will show you an advanced technique I mastered, spoke Naruto in a cold emotionless voice. He put a hand onto Yoko's forehead and she started to feel pain and whimpered. The touch of darkness. Not absorb your powers into myself since you are from fire, but I can absorb your whole life force into the big void of the darkness itself. You will die after I took everything old coldly and started to feed her life force to the darkness itself. To Naruto's surprise she shrank slowly as if becoming younger, more and more the more power he took away from her. He watched her screaming her lungs out and could show much in pain she was. It was hard to watch. All his happy time he had with her flashed before his eyes and he felt as if he was betraying her and not the other way. He could not help but feel guilty. He thought that even though all the affections and love she gave him were not real and just played, she never harmed him and did give him comfort and help. Even though attacked his village, he did not hold love for it. Even though she killed many, he did not know them and there was no one that he cared for right now anyway. Even though was abandoned and hated by his mother and his whole village, it was not like she did tell everyone to do what they did it with their own free will. And now here hating her and making her suffer like this, killing her. He let go of her and stepped back biting his lip in frustration. He could not do it. She was still precious to him and did not deserve his hate like others. He took a look at he could see that she was now around his height and looked 8 years old. The look in her eyes showed clearly how confused she was and wondered why he stopped. He stood there in silence and thought about what to do for a moment before he spoke coldly. A rule of Genya says that you are only tolerated as corpse or as slave. You will be my servant from now on and follow my orders, or I will kill you. Is that understood? Said Naruto emotionless. Yoko was shocked to hear this. Tears threatened to leak out and she thanked the gods for such an opportunity. Hi Naru-chan, thank you so much, I will serve you forever. She said between sobs as tears now streamed down her cheeks freely. She had believed that it was her end now. Never before had she been so afraid, and now she been given another chance. Naruto turned around. He didn't like to watch her cry. You will address me as Naruto-sama, was all he said as he walked away. I hope the king will not be pissed. He though bit afraid. It stopped snowing, all the ice melted away and the sky became clear, as Naruto walked towards the kanji for seal. He engulfed the seal with his shadows and touched it. Afterwards with his blue glowing hands, trying to absorb it into the darkness itself. It took him 3 minutes but he succeeded and the seal vanished completely. Naruto woke up back in the Shadow Realm and the red light that came out of his belly formed the humanoid shape of Yoko. She was 4 feet 3 inches tall, 8 years. Looking, clothed in a black kimono decorated with red flames and wore her red hair in a high ponytail. And who that might be? Asked Kokuten with amusement as he saw a little version of Yoko. He had not expected it to turn out like it did. That's Yoko, she will be my servant, answered Naruto calmly, hiding his nervousness. In Genya she is only tolerated as a dead body, or as slave, so she is your responsibility now. Make sure she behaves and follows the rules of Genya. tagged King and made himself a black throne out of darkness and sat down. I once told you that you would learn more about yourself, boy. I have yet to tell you everything, so listen well now. You know your mother Uzumaki Kushand, you know that the one that attacked your village was sealed inside of you. What you don't know is that it was your father that sealed her in you. He thought it to be the only way to stop her from killing you and your mother as well as everyone else in his village. He even asked for you to be seen as a he. Your village was not given the information of your parentage, but they were told about your burden and your father's wishes. Only a man called Sandame Hokage, your mother, and your father's sensei knew about your parentage. To my knowledge, it was kept secret to protect you from assassins of a ninja named Aiwa. He explained and then waited a moment for Naruto to take it in. For Naruto, it meant that his own father doomed him to his sufferings and that he was a Hokage's and village hero's son, and that the third village leader lied to him countless times. What the Ice King said made sense to him. Without the sealing he would have died. His father saved him and many others by sacrificing himself, which was noble. Not hate him, but he could not love him either. He just nodded and kept an emotional face, storing all the information away for later. Being a Hokage's son may comes in should he have to go back there. Your mother suffered from mental stress from losing your father to something that was sealed inside of you. I would say that she did not hate you, but or couldn't love you either. She would often wake up at nights holding a weapon over you, and sometimes even after having already cut you. When you were 3, she left you out of fear of killing you one day, he said. Naruto frowned. It did not change much for him. That woman abandoned him coldly, not even bothering to make some preparations for his living. She did not even have the courage to leave him somewhere outside of Konoha. As far as he could care now, she could die. Also, you should probably know who to blame for what happened to you. It was Kojin that gave a human of your world the means to summon and control Yoko, who to that time had fled Faya. They planned for her to be sealed away after weakening your village. They also need her powers to take over your. They will come and try to extract her out of you, to seal her into a statue, but they don't know you are of Genya now and that you don't hold her inside yo anymore. He told. This shocked Naruto. Why had he not told him this earlier? He had blamed Yoko for something she did not even had control over. It pained him, but he would not dwell in anymore. Someone like him could not effort that. It was already done. I see. Who was this human? He asked calmly, not showing his inner turmoil, but promised himself. Make it up to Yoko somehow. His name is Uchiha Madara. He has an organization that will come to hunt you. They are called Akatsuki and wear black cloaks with red clouds, as well as ring each. The 10 rings are what can control the powers sealed inside the statue. Also, they are after other people with outcasts of Genya and Faya seal inside of them, informed the aged king with his usual dark smirk. I see. Thank you for informing me, Kokuden-sama, replied Naruto in his usual calm voice and memorized all the information. What now? I will take you back to where I took you from, but only a few hours will have passed though, he said. Only a few hours? What do you mean? You may have been in the Shadow Realm for 1.5 years, but here I control time and space. In Genya, Faya and your world only a few hours passed. When you go back it will be the day of your 6th birthday, October 10th. He told and chuckled darkly. I could not risk to interfere with destiny more. Already have. It was obvious that you are a child of destiny. You have to do what you were meant to before anything else. What do you mean? Questioned Naruto. He means that destiny has plans for you, Naruto-sama. It won't be good for his kingdom if he interferes with them, told Yoko. Now go, my child. If you survive till you reach adulthood and actually impress me with your human life, then we will meet again, told Kokuden and raised high. And left, leaving a black portal behind. Yoko, said Naruto as he looked at her for a moment. I am sorry, but I will protect you from now on. Come now, he said softly and stepped through the portal that woe. Take him to the place that he hates the most. Thank you, Naru-chan, whispered Yoko with a happy smile on her face and followed him through the portal. Now go, my child. If you survive till you reach adulthood and actually impress me with your human life, then we will meet again, told Kokuden and raised high. And left, leaving a black portal behind. Yoko, said Naruto as he looked at her for a moment. I am sorry, but I will protect you from now on. Come now. He said softly and stepped through the portal that whoa. Take him to the place that he hates the most. Thank you, Naru-chan, whispered Yoko with a happy smile on her face and followed him through the portal. Ooh oh 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 ooh. Fire Country, Konoha at October 10th. The black portal closed behind Yoko after she stepped through. She looked around and could see that they were in a small apartment, but it was too dark to see any data. Naruto was standing next to a broken window and could see that it was nighttime and that the yearly festival was going on outside with loud music and some firework. What are we going to do now, Naruto-kun? Asked Yoko curiously, but secretly hoped that he would not get mad for dropping the sama. I don't know, told Naruto with his usual emotionless voice that Kokuden had trained him in. I would like to kill most of the civilians, but there are so many that I don't know where to start, and they are protected by the ninjas too. I can't take on the whole village yet. I would like to kill the council members and elders as well. They always tried to me executed or made sure that the people that attacked me got no hard punishment, but sadly I don't know who they are. You can turn yourself into a big nine-tailed fox, correct Yoko? He asked after a while and looked at her. I am afraid I cannot, Naruto-kun. I lost that ability for now. My body is just too weak. I need more training in an adult body before I will be able to use the transforming technique again. I guess I am roughly on your level of power right now, Naruto-kun, answered Yoko a bit sad. So it was one of Faya's techniques. No, it is a wide-known technique in both kingdoms. Many know how to use it, but most are not very powerful. The technique would not change much, that's why most it don't use it. I know that Kojin can turn into a white fire dragon, twice as big as I was in fox form, and I think Kokuden can transform into a black ice dragon, almost as by me and Kojin together. Explained Yoko. I see. Then the only thing we can do before we leave is visit Gigi, he said and started to walk out of the apartment. Old man, you mean the village leader? Asked Yoko as she followed behind him, and Naruto nodded his head lightly. You are going to get all your father's stuff then, Naruto-kun? She asked. No, don't be silly. I do not look like how he knows me. I am almost 2 years older than I should be, and Kokuden changed my DNA. He said that I even have different blue. The old man would hardly believe me and give me anything, but it is no loss seeing how the Yondaime would have left me only jutsus anyway. I cannot use jutsus since I h chakra at all now. The only useful thing that he could have had left would be money, but most likely Kushina-san got all of it already, explained Naruto as he walked out of apartment building. They were on the way towards the Hokage Tower now and could see lots of people on the streets having their fun at the festival. Naruto-kun? Asked Yoko as she looked oddly at Naruto when he took her by the hand. We are in a festival, we are alone and we are underage, we will hopefully get less observation if we hold hands, it will look like we are on a date together, stated Naruto. Emotionless. Oh yay, that's a good idea, Naruto-kun, she said and approached closer to him to look more like a young couple. You know it is strange to be in a festival where people see your death, she said as she squeezed his hands. Just picture that they are celebrating the death of the 4th Hokage, after all you are alive and he is not, said Naruto and laughed at his own joke, and Yoko joined in his W. They finally arrived at the tower after they casually walked for half an hour through the festival. Do you really think that the Hokage is here right now? Asked Yoko. No, I know that he isn't. As Hokage he has to take part of the festival. We will wait in his office and gather some information. And how do we get in unnoticed? I can sense almost a dozen ninja guards around. Asked Yoko. It is not hard, replied Naruto and took her hand once again before saying, prepare yourself. Both started to melt into their own shadows and completely vanished inside of them. Their shadows then took off on the ground and went inside the tower, gliding under all doors without making any sound. They arrived at the Hokage office in less than 5 minutes and their shadows went into a dark corner of the room and both came back them again. They knew that a ninja was guarding the room from the inside, hiding in a dark corner, but they did not use any chakra and did not make any sound yet, so he was complete unaware of them right now. Naruto commanded the shadows where the ninja was hiding within, to capture him. The ninja suddenly found himself in a cold hold. He struggled to break free but it was no use. The darkness had him trapped, he could not use his hands and he could not either. He was completely engulfed with whatever was holding him. That was a great technique you used to bring us here, Naruto-kun. I did not expected you to be this skilled already with your darkness powers. The ninja heard a young Fey voice ask. When I absorbed Peleus' powers, I learned his techniques as well. This was one of them. He heard a young male say without any emotion in his voice. Huh? Who is Peleus? Asked Yoko. No one, said Naruto after he realized that she could not have known him since he had blocked her out for a whole year and just commanded the shadows that were holding the ninja to come towards him. Okay, and what will you do with the human now, Naruto-kun? The ninja heard the female voice ask and could feel himself dragged to the middle of the room by some invisible force. He saw two young children stepping out of a dark corner, a girl with red hair and a boy with light blue hair, both around 8 years old. I will kill him, of course, since he knows my name now, thanks to you, said Naruto as he grinned at her and then looked towards the ninja. It was a young teen around TW 13 and wore a raven mask and standard Anbu gear. What a surprise, I can remember you saving me a couple of times from some villagers on the Hokage's Ord. Raven-san, who the hell are they? I only now won Naruto and it can't be him, and how the hell could they catch me, an Anbu captain, off guard like this? Am I really going to die now? Thought the ninja and was scared for the first time in a long time. His Anbu squad was ordered to protect the tower today, and it was unlikely that one of his subordinates w. check on him inside the office anytime soon. Tell me, Yoko, why he has powers from fire in him, even though it is a very pathetic amount, said Naruto. I guess he is a descendant of a human that got a gift from Kojin. Yes, I think it was 300 years ago when Kojin gave his ancestor, what the humans call, a Dujutsu and bloodline. But they are not a part of fire though, explained Yoko. That's interesting. Let us study this later, for now we need to look around for useful information, he said and ignored the Anbu captain for now. They searched around the office for useful things and Naruto looked in other parts of the tower as well, using his shadow melting to move around unnoticed. It was in the Hokage's study room that he found something interesting. He read it for an hour before putting it back. He then went back to the Hokage's office where Yoko was waiting. Where have you been, Naruto-kun? I could not leave this room without being noticed, and it was boring as hell to wait here for so long, told Yoko. I checked other areas in the tower, but I found more than I could have hoped for. What did you found, Naruto-kun? I found something like the Hokage's diary. It seems that he writes in it on a daily basis. How did you find that? Would the Hokage not hide and protect something like that, with his life? Wondered Yoko. It had a lot of strong protection seals and was most likely in some special sealed safe usually, but I had luck. The protections were not active. He recently wrote something and forgot to activate the protections afterwards, and it lay in on a simple desk too. But the main protection was the study room itself. Some seals made it impossible for but the Hokage to enter it. To our fortune, the seals on the room did not work for my shadow melting. After all, I don't use chakra, said Naruto with a smirk. Well, the only thing I found was a list for a council's meeting. It has the names of the members writing on it, said Yoko. Good job, Yoko. It is useful to me. We will take it with us, praised Naruto and walked over to the ninja. You are lucky. I need you alive since I have much to discuss with Y. Will come with us now, Raven-san, he said and took a hold of him with one hand and took Yoko's hand with his other one, and all three of them melted into their shadows, out of the tower. Naruto did not stop until they arrived at a small forest on top of the Hokage mountain. All three of them appeared back out of their shadows and Naruto had some sweat on forehead that he wiped away with his sleeves but looked fine otherwise. He put the ninja into a sitting position, leaning his back against a tree and said, I will remove the your mouth, but if you try to scream I will kill you, understood? The ninja nodded and the darkness on the boy's mouth vanished. Who are you? Asked the ninja immediately but with a calm voice. I am Naruto of Genya and this is Yoko. You may know her as Kyuubi no Kitsune, he said and the ninja got wide-eyed. Yoko just smirked and Naruto continued, I am not. I remember correctly, so tell me, are you Uchiha Itachi? I am. What do you want from me and how can you be Naruto, or better yet how can she be the Kyuubi? Kyuubi is a giant demon fox and is forever sealed away, said Itachi. Emotionless, almost like Naruto does. The Hows don't concern you, Itachi-san, said Naruto coldly. I just want your opinion on something before you die. He told, getting Itachi's attention. What could you possibly want from me? Asked Itachi confused. It was supposed to be just an easy and boring guard duty job for him and his team, so they could get abreast from their last S-rank mission, but then he gets kidnapped by two 8-year-olds, from whom one is supposed to be an unstoppable demon lord, and now he will likely die before he can even see what the limits in his powers are. He would definitely never again accept guard duties, if he should survive this, that is. The Uchihas, your own clan, wanted you to spy on the Hokage and the council as an Anbu captain, but you decided to betray your own clan and act as a double agent, the Hokage about your clan's doings, even going so far as to warn him about a planned coup d'état of your own clan. Tell me, Itachi-san, who are your loyalties to? Asked emotionless and stared at the teen Anbu captain. Why does it concern you? I don't understand why you could be interested in this or me. Why don't you kill me already? Asked Itachi frustrated. He didn't like being helpless was to be weak, at least that's what he thought. It does concern me, Itachi-san, oh it does. You see, it says in the diary here, the elders and the war hawk, whoever that is, are trying to push the old man to order the Uclan's immediately execution, and that through you, and you alone, a 13-year-old human. Even though I doubt that you could do it alone, there is still the possibility T. could. Even if I kill you, they will just order someone else or a whole squad of Anbu to do it. The question is, would you kill your family completely and utterly if ordered by village? They are blinded by our bloodline, believing themselves to be superior and unbeatable so long as they use it. None of my clan is training to push themselves further to their limits, like I do, none of them is as strong as they easily could be, and yet all of them believe that they should be the rulers of everything and that they could take on whole village. I don't follow the Hokage because of love to this village or out of loyalty to anyone, I just hold him above my clan because they disgust me with their simple-minded arrogance. Their pride is simply much for anyone to handle and not go mad. I don't understand why you would care for them, but if I were ordered then I would key off. It would be a good chance to test my powers. Told Itachi coldly and felt better now that he had let everything out and spoke with someone about it for the first time. Naruto's sudden laughter startled him a bit. Me, care for the Uchiha? You misunderstand my intentions, Itachi-san, stated Naruto as he calmed down a bit. The Uchiha were never big supporters of me. In fact, they did many things to me when I was younger that I would like to forget, but photographic memory is a curse sometimes. They are also the family of the man that was responsible for the worst moments in my life, including the Kyuubi attack. And all of them even have the powers of fire in them, even though it is a pathetically weak amount. Fire's TRA. Be much more noticeable since they are of human blood, getting worse with every generation. Wait, what traits are you talking about? What does this have anything to with Kyuubi? Asked Itachi. Naruto-kun means that it is in their nature to become power-hungry bastards. Even now they think that everyone should bow to them and that they deserve to be rulers. Not everyone of Fire is like that, still it is true for King Kojin and your bloodline came from his powers, that explains everything pretty good. As for me being a part of T. was summoned and controlled by Uchiha Madara, he made a deal with the King of Fire. Kojin helps him to rule the world with the power of the 9 Biju, as you call us, return every human will worship Kojin later, but they will only be slaves for Madara, explained Yoko, shocking Itachi with it. Anyway, the reason why I don't want you to kill them is because I above everyone else deserve to kill the Uchihas. You seem to be not like the rest of them for some reason. That's why I could allow you to live and serve me, but I will not only kill the Uchihas but others in Konoha as well, like the council members and elders one day, as well as civilians. That's why I want to know your loyalties, to see if you are of any use to me, stated Naruto calmly waiting for a reaction. Itachi did not say anything, it was a lot to take in. What can I do now anyway? He will not let me go if I do not serve him, thought Itachi frustrated and was about to tell his decision, but stopped as the black shadows holding him vanished. He could move again. You have 3 options now, Itachi-san. A. You run and hope to find help before I catch and kill you. B. You attack me and hope to kill me before you die and then escape afterwards as well. Or C, you swear your loyalty to me and only me and follow my orders as if they came from Kami-sama personally, told Naruto coldly. Damn, when did Naru-chan become so cool? Thought Yoko. He must be strong if the Kyuubi follows him. My mind tells me that it would be suicide to fight him, but I cannot run or surrender. This is a good chance to test my limits. Thought Itachi. He then activated his Sharingan and drew his Anbu blade from its sheath, taking a fighting stance with it. How about an option D, then Naruto-kun? If you defeat me, I am willing to follow you as long as I can still complete my own goals. But should I win, we will act as nothing happened and you will not bother me again, offered Itachi, still fearing the harmless-looking Kyuubi more than Naruto. That is acceptable, said Naruto after a while. His hands emitted blue aura, ice crystals appeared in them and took the form of a weapon. It was an exact replica of Oblivion's call, just a bit shorter and completely made ice. He then took a sword stance and called his own shadow out. His shadow could manipulate darkness too, but only to a small degree, and created a replica of Oblivion's sea. Well, but it was made out of darkness. It then took a fighting stance too and stood next to Naruto. Come, said Naruto coldly. Itachi was surprised by all of this, and would not have believed that someone could control ice and shadows like this if he had not seen it. He wondered what else Naruto do, but stopped these thoughts when he was told to make the first move. Itachi was extremely fast. He used his speed, sword skills and hand-to-hand skills very well against the two, but surprisingly both Narutos could hold up with Itachi's speed. Shadow Naruto more than the original. Shadow Naruto defended the real Naruto and gave him lots of openings to attack and wound Itachi, who could not find any opening. Strike at him with the shadow on the defense. The worst was that no matter what genjutsu he used, it did not affected Naruto or his shadow in any way. They seemed it. Naruto just could barely keep up to Itachi's speed and sword skill, and that only thanks to his shadow defending him. He had to take away Itachi's advantage, so he touché ground and made it freeze all around him, not allowing the ice to go farther than 100-foot radius. Itachi slipped on the ice and fell to his back, but managed to block an attack from the shadow, with his own sword just in time and kicking him away. He stood up and made some hand seals as he stood shakily on the ice. He called the jutsu's name out as he blew a huge fireball towards the ground where Naruto's shadow lay. To his surprise, Th remained undamaged and even the shadow was perfectly fine. He did not sense the frost bolt flying towards him, and was surprised as the blue energy bolt slammed into his right side. Ice started to spread on his torso, right arm as W. Right leg, stopping him from moving. He did not know what to do now. He could not use his right arm for hand seals and he could not move his right leg either, and this ice seemed to be everlasting. It did not long after that he felt a cold ice blade against his throat. He had lost, but it was no wonder. All this attacks and powers were some he had never seen before, and incredible powerful as well. All of this just got him off guard. I yield. You are very powerful, Naruto-sama, told Itachi hesitantly. Naruto dispelled all the ice in his shadow. Do you swear your loyalty to me then, Itachi? Asked Naruto. Hi, Naruto-sama, I swear to follow your orders. I think it will help me greatly to test my limits as well, answered Itachi. Naruto held his closed hand out and concentrated his energy into it. He opened it after 2 minutes and a black gem connected to a black chain could be seen. He gave it to Itachi and said, wear this and never take it off. I can send you my thoughts through it, and if you hold it in both hands then you can send your own thoughts to me as well. Can use it to locate you and appear out of your own shadow, using shadow walk. Hi, Naruto-sama, replied Itachi. Yoko and I will leave now. I want you to stay here and act as if nothing happened and to gather information that could be useful to me about the elders and this war hawk discreetly, of course. Also, if the Hokage does give you the mission to eliminate the Uchiha clan, then accept it and report it to me immediately. Is that understood? Ordered. Naruto. Itachi nodded and watched the two leaving before going back to continue his guard duty. Would he teach me some of his cool techniques if I ask? He thought as he run to the tower. The two 8-year-old were a mile outside of Konoha right now. They had used Naruto's shadow melting technique to leave the village undetected. What are we going to do now, Naruto-kun? Questioned Yoko. We will leave Fire Country, of course. This place disgusts me. We will travel to the east, towards water country. I heard it even snows there. I am thinking on making a sec base somewhere. Water country may be a good place for it, he told, a bit happy at the thought of cold snow. Okay Naruto-kun, she said and gave him a smile. Meanwhile in Konoha, at the Hokage's tower, Raven, where were you and what happened to you? You look like you fought with someone. Hokage-sama, damn, what do I do now? Should I stick to the plan or tell the Hokage? I was ambushed by. Last chapters. At the age of 6, Uzumaki Naruto got kidnapped by some shadows and had to survive in the Ice King's shadow realm for 6 months. He passed all his tests. Trained for a whole year in the basics of his new ice and darkness abilities. He left the shadow realm after releasing Yoko from the seal and appeared in his old apartment. Konoha, back on the day of his 6th birthday, where he learned about a planned Uchiha massacre and one Uchiha Itachi as his spy and subordinate. Itachi nodded and watched the two leaving before going back to continue his guard duty. Would he teach me some of his cool techniques if I ask? He thought as he run to the tower. The two 8-year-old were now a mile outside of Konoha. They had used Naruto's shadow melting technique to leave the village undetected. What are we going to do now Naruto-kun? Questioned Yoko. We will leave Fire Country of course, this place disgusts me too much. We will travel to the east, towards Water Country. I heard it even snows there so that's a major mo. For me to go there, plus I think it would be best if I set up a secret headquarters somewhere, Water Country could be a good place. He told, a bit happy at the thought of snow. Okay Naruto-kun, she said with a smile. Ooh oh 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 ooh. Hokage Tower. Raven, where were you and what happened to you? You look like you fought with someone, said a soft but old-sounding voice. Hokage-sama, damn it, what should I do now? Should I stick to the plan? Ooh oh 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 ooh. 3 weeks had now passed and true to Naruto's words, they had traveled towards the east. First they had stopped at a large town called Atofika. Naruto had used his darkness abilities there to steal food and a map of the elemental countries from one of the shops. From there they had gone to Wave Country to get a ship towards the isla known as Water Country. Yoko had told him that they would need money and the more of it they had, the better. So on their way to Wave they had used every single opportunity to make or steal so. They had killed and plundered every bandit and ninja groups they had met, missing ninja or not hadn't mattered to them and they even robbed 2 small villages of most gold and money, killing anyone that saw them to not leave any witnesses behind. They had roughly 900,000 ryo in paper money now, and several pounds o. Being not able to use storage scrolls without chakra, it was a lot to carry for the two but luckily Naruto came a long way with his darkness powers and now could use the realm technique. It was nowhere near King Kokuden's level of skill, but he could at least create a very small realm to store stuff or food in it and find it again if needed. Both had used the past days to train their own body in strength, speed and stamina. Naruto had also worked on his ice and darkness abilities, especially the shadow realm technique. Yoko for her part was over 100 years old and already extreme experienced with her own powers, so she only needed to work on her small body. In Wave they had asked for a boat trip to Water Country, but nobody was willing to give them a ride. The people were all afraid of a civil war that had recently started in W Country and held their distance from the big island. Some people had even warned them about naval fleets that were patrolling around Water Country to make sure that N left the island that wasn't supposed to do so, which made entering Water Country so much harder. In the end Naruto gotten angry from all the pointless searching for a boat trip that he just walked to the sea and stepped on it, the water froze under his feet as he walked towards the island of Water Country with Yoko close behind him. The sea was harsh and the waves strong, but even so it listened to Naruto's commands and stayed calm. Him in a very big radius. The ice road he was walking on was 10 feet wide, went many hundred feet back and was 20 feet long in front of him. Increasing with every took. Unlike before, when they were still on land and had walked casually, they now run faster than most ninja could and use the many small islands on the sea in Aru Water Country to rest and sleep. Yoko had told him many times that he was crazy for doing this, not liking water, but was ignored by him for the most part. True to the people of Wave's words, Many ships were patrolling the sea and some sighted the two kids walking on the ice road. Naruto knew from the people of Wave that P with bloodline limits got killed merciless on the orders of the Mizukage, who held them responsible for bringing war and misfortune to the country, and it was clear for him they would think that he has a bloodline limit and attack him because of it. He could not risk that one of them would report him, so he destroyed every single ship that sight him, with Yoko cheering him on loudly. She didn't need to help him. Just like at night when he could use his darkness abilities to the fullest, he was totally in his element now, surrendered by all the water. He did literally bend the water to his will, making it sink whole ships and freezing it underwater together with all the people on board. After the pair set foot on one of Water Country's many beaches, they started walking towards the village hidden in the mist, Kurigakure no Sato. They choose to walk casual. The road instead of running, since they had lots of time and were not in a hurry, because Naruto wanted to travel and train for some more years before starting any of his Yoko was very joyfully to that time, happy that they were no longer traveling on the sea, and Naruto was enjoying himself as well. How could he not? Water Country was a dark place and it snowed 50% of the time. Despite being called Hidden Village, the location of the ninja villages were known to many and were even on some maps, probably because people had to know where to say their missions to or go to watch a Chunin exam. Kurigakure was on the west side of Water Country, not far away from the sea, so it only took a day for Naruto and Yoko to arrive, and both now stood in front of the gates of Kurigakure. The ninja villages all had their own security defenses that kept people from entering them without permissio. Naruto knew that he couldn't enter it without being caught, especially in time of a civil war. He could easily wait till it was night and then use his shadow melting to enter T village, but he wasn't in the mood to sneak around, especially since he wanted to shop a bit and get a hotel room, so he just went straight to the gate guards. He could see 4 ninjas guarding the gate but thought that there must be some more close by as backup. No one else was around waiting to enter the village, therefore T guards looked understandable bored until they saw the 2 kids coming their way and they looked curious now. Naruto had nothing to fear, he had no chakra, so there was way for them to sense his powers or think that he might be someone under a henge or a bloodline user, so he walked towards them and halted in front of the nearest guard, looking him in the eyes. The guards wondered how 2 kids, looking around 8 years old, could wander around alone and be still in such a good condition. Their clothes were clean and noble Lu. They had no injuries and did look as if they were fed well. Each of them had a little backpack on their backs, but no weapons were visible on them. This was strange in the times of war, and if they would have been some spies or assassins, then they would have tried their best to look weak, dirty, half-starved and harmless. But these 2 kids, themselves with unusual much prestige and confidence. They could not sense any illusion techniques being used, or chakra at all for the matter, but nonetheless one of th. Guards used the dispel technique, but nothing changed, proving even further that these 2 kids were no ninja. State your name and why you came to Kiri, told one of the 4 ninjas as he eyed both kids suspiciously. My name is Naruto, my servant's name is Yoko. I came here to relax in a hotel, enjoy myself and maybe train some, replied Naruto, still looking the man into the eyes. The 2 of you are traveling all by yourself? The gate guard asked, not believing that 2 kids could survive traveling alone. Why are you guarding this gate if you are blind, or do you just lack a brain? I don't see anyone else being with us, told Naruto with little to no emotions, and Yoko laughed at the insult. Why you? Screamed the guard and was about to attack Naruto, but 2 of the other 3 guards held him back and pulled him away from the kids. Calm down, Sasaki. They're just 2 kids, probably some rich brats, they said to him as they pulled him further away. The 4th guard was still eyeing Naruto and was surprised that the boy didn't flinch when Sasaki was about to backhand him. That was not smart, kid, you could get yours killed with that attitude, he told. Can we go in now or not, ninja-san? Yoko asked while Naruto was just ignoring the man and watched with little amusement how the other guards tried to calm Sasaki do. No, I have never seen 2 little kids coming here of all places by themselves, at least not such clean-looking children at that, while a civil war is going on all over the town. Can't let you in if you are not giving me more information. Where exactly are you coming from? We need to know from which family you 2 are from, you seem to be from. Or noble family, and how you traveled here, Did you have an escort? My family, as you call it, is more rich and noble than you could ever image, ninja. We do not have an escort and travel alone. In order to become the heir to my family, I was out to travel and prove myself by surviving on my own. I came to this country because I like snow, water, and the cold. When I saw the state of the country because of the war, one decided to come to Kurigakure. Surely this must be the most comfortable and safest place in this country right now. The guard eyed him and could not sense any lies. He thought that the boy might be from a rich samurai clan. He doubted that he was a real treat to any ninja, especially a young age, and if he was rich then he could at least spend his money in the village. Kami knew they needed it. You still left some of my questions unanswered, kid, he said. That is because you do not need to know the answers to those questions. Will you let us in now or not? I have no problem with going somewhere else with my money, too. Naruto calmly. Yes, that did it. The guard nodded slowly and stepped to the side, allowing Naruto and Yoko to enter the village. The guard saw no reason to not let him in now. For him, Nar was obviously no threat of any kind, and it would have been a waste to not let him in, since he would hopefully spend a lot of his money in Kiri. He watched as the two kids walked into the village and soon lost sight of them as they disappeared in the mist that often surrounded Kurigakure. Naruto and Yoko now were in the wealthy section of Kurigakure, at an impressive hotel called Water Palace. From what they saw, Kiryuchin thinks that he is stupid. Do you want King Kokuden think that you are stupid and weak too for fearing a stone insane man? She said with a big frown, and Naruto stiffened at the last part. Insane but powerful. Remember what King Kokuden said, the man broke out of hell, even if it was with the damned sword, it takes a lot of power to break out of. So, you will let your fear of a piece of steel, albeit a powerful one, rule you? No, but, Naruto-kun, a sword is an extension of you. You will learn to think of it as a part of you that is missing if you don't have it with you. You will treat the sword with respect, will not fail you. Disrespect the sword and it will end in your death. I think all Achilles did was disrespecting it. There is no need for you to fear it if you think of it as a part of yourself. Even if that sword is evil, then you only have to feed it with blood to stay on its good side. All evil weapons absorb blood into themselves. Should you have any problems, then give it some blood. You need to master it and learn its techniques, for it will be very useful for us, especially if fighting someone like Kojin or Achilles. You're right, but still, it's easier said than done, he said with a sigh. He stopped and narrowed his eyes as he looked at one of the homeless. There were many homeless in small village, and lots of destroyed houses, but only one of them caught his interest, a young child. What's wrong? Asked Yoko. Can't you sense it? He asked without looking at her, his eyes still on the little child living on the streets, half-starved and clothed only in dirty rags. I see. Kokuden told me that his wife once gave a human woman the ability to control water and ice. It looks like her descendants live in water country, but the Mizukage's blood purge must have almost wiped them out. This one could very well be the last, told Naruto, and started walking towards the 8-year-old girl. It would be terrible to let Th. Queen's gift to the humans die like this because of Madara. I will have to take her with us, besides she might be useful if trained right. Come. Hello, greeted Naruto with an emotionless tone. The girl opened her eyes quickly and immediately widened them, but relaxed as soon as she saw that it was someone Arrow. Her age, her brown eyes staring curiously at Naruto. I am Naruto and this is Yoko. What is your name? Haku. She answered softly but a bit hesitated. Haku, I am from Genia, the kingdom of ice and darkness. And you have powers of my people within you. You can control water and ice, am I correct? He asked gently. What? She said but looked shocked and afraid. You don't have to be afraid, I won't do anything to you, he said and held his hand up. Some of the falling snow floated to his palm and formed a snow rabbit. He laid it to ground and it leapt towards Haku's lap while Naruto ruffled Haku's hair gently. You can come with us if you want, Haku. If you come with us I will train you and give you W. You need to survive. All you need to do is fight for me and do what I say. Really? She asked, shocked to see that he could control ice as well and that he even wanted her to come with him. She was wanted. Yes, I never lie, lying is only a tool for the weak, he stated firmly. Oh okay, I will come with you, She told as she stood up and looked at him. Naruto. Told Yoko, who stood by the side, listening carefully. Naruto-kun. She said and smiled cutely at him. You can wear this for now. He said as he pulled out a nice-looking cloak and a pair of shoes from Yoko's back, both made with his darkness ability, and gave her some food from his own back bag. Come on you two, let's go, we are still too close to Kiri, told Naruto, and continued to walk towards the north, with the two girls following close behind him, one staring at with admiration and gratefulness and the other eyeing the new girl carefully. 5 months later. The last 5 months had passed quickly, with Naruto training his body, just like Yoko and Haku, and in his powers with ice and darkness. He also tried to teach Haku could, so that she would become more useful to him, but since he had to train himself too, he ordered Yoko to train the little girl most of the time. Haku was a very quiet girl, but she was very loyal to him and also very smart for her age, just like Naruto. Her life on the streets, before it was sentient. Haku of course was told about the sword's story and that such blades were sentient and was Ace's. Naruto was about it, if not more. Funny thing was that she didn't dare talk about the sword like about any other weapon, and always used its name with the respectful suffix that you normally would use to address some lords like the daimyos. But Naruto ignored her praise and focused like Yoko towards a tree and said, "You can come out now. It was not nice of you to lead your hunters towards us, some little Kai. I wasn't leading them anywhere, kid, I was just running away. Besides, they would have just ignored you, would you not have attacked them?" told the tall man. He was 6'1" tall and had a large zanbato on his back, and half of his lower face was hidden behind bandages. He had dark hair and eyes with no eyebrows. He light blue pants with a gray shirt and a green ninja vest. His forehead protector was strangely protecting the left side of his head instead of his forehead, and had the sign UNIT with a large scratch going through. You don't look older than 9, and yet you killed 600 nins like they were nothing. What are you? A dying man doesn't need to know who I am, answered Naruto coldly, pointing the blade at the man. Don't think that you can take me on, kid, you took them only by surprise and I could have killed them just as easily myself. I just didn't want to leave any traces here. Bees. There is not even a point to fight, I am a missing ninja, it's not like I am going to tell anyone that you just killed some Kiri ninjas. No, you three should better join me, I can. You into powerful weapons, little kids like you have no chance to survive on your own in times like these. I am going to start an army of my own and kill the damn Mizukage. Must be orphans because of him, so it's in your best interest to join me, said the masked nin. Fool. There is nothing you could teach us, and I am not as stupid as to believe that missing ninjas wouldn't sell informations even on their mothers if they could get some out of it. Who says that you won't find anyone that would like to hear about an 8-year-old that can control shadows? He said as he walked towards the man. Besides, no way in hell that I would let you kill the Mizukage, you are going to die today and I don't care if you rest in peace or not. The masked nin narrowed his eyes and grasped his sword's handle. He saw that the kid was good with his sword, and what he did with the shadows almost freaked him out. Wasn't going to go easy on the kid. He lifted his big sword and charged at Naruto, slashing down to cleave him in two. Naruto moved some shadows and they stopped the sword, breaking it from the ninja's grasp. He then slammed Oblivion's Call's handle into the mon's gut, making him fly backwards for some feet. Haku, you kill this one. He heard Yoko say to Haku and looked towards the white-haired girl. She looked a bit shocked, probably because she hadn't killed anyone yet, Naruto that fought everyone so far. Haku looked at him wide-eyed and he just nodded his head, showing her that he wanted her to do it as well. Haku gulped. She didn't want to disappoint Naruto and Yoko now. She closed her eyes and disappeared into an ice mirror that formed before her. The masked ninja was back on his feet and growled at Naruto. You will regret this, brat. Do you really think that this little girl can kill me? I know all about the Hyouten bloodline, he claimed before spitting blood out and falling to the dead. The last thing he heard was, I don't have a bloodline. Behind him was an ice mirror with half the body of a little girl sticking out of it, but the girl's, Haku's, arm had into ice and had the form of a long and sharp spear. Haku stepped out of the mirror and it turned into mist, before her arm turned back to normal as well. She felt a hand shoulder and turned to see Naruto with Yoko standing behind her. You did great, Haku. I am proud of you, he said and even smiled slightly before taking her by the hand and starting to walk again. Let's go. Thank you, Naruto-sama, she said quickly with a blush on her cheeks. His praise meant the world to her, even though she did not like killing, for Naruto she would gladle. Again, just to hear him praise her. I wonder who the man was, he never gave a name, she thought, a bit sad that she could not give him some last honor or something. Dead men don't need names, told Naruto coldly, as if he had just read her mind.